Welcome to the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. Join your host, Tracy, the Mindful Wellness Coach, as she takes a deeper look into nourishing your body, mind, and soul. Because being well creates the freedom to live life the way you want.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Richardson, the Mindful Wellness Coach and Holistic Health Practitioner and owner of Hybrid Therapy. Welcome, listeners. Today I'm joined by Sam Youngz and we're going to be talking about emotions and energy. Now, Sam is an emotional, spiritual wellbeing specialist. So welcome today. How are you, Sam?
Hi, Tracy. Yeah, great. Thank you. And thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. So thank you for coming on. And I'd just like you to share with the listeners who you are, what you do and why you do what you do.
Whoa, that's quite a few things in one there. Okay, so yeah, my name is Sam. My full name is Ruby Sam Youngz, and that is what I use as my professional name. And yeah, so what do I do? So yeah, I help empower women on many levels and on a holistic level, but particularly those who might be feeling just exhausted, fatigued, frustrated with life, and had enough of having to be the strong one all the time and always coming last in the pecking order, and just knowing they've got this purpose to help people and just got stuck through life events, etc., and can't find a way out. So I help them go on a journey, empower them, explore, so that they can release the hold of what's keeping them stuck. And that could be many different things, which I'm sure we'll discuss as we go through this. And just getting that connection back to the heart and soul, and just that sparkle out into the world and feeling confident to be who they're truly meant to be.
Awesome. So how did you get into this then? What kind of inspired you to work this way?
Well, I've been through that journey myself. So as many of us healers and, in the wellbeing world, we've gone through our own journey, haven't we, really, of why we love what we do and why we want to help others ultimately not stay as long in the turmoil that we may have done. So yeah, I've just had this knowing since a little kid, knowing that I was here for a bigger purpose, knowing there was way more than what I could see by my own eyes. So it's just been a journey of like, okay, I know I'm here for a big purpose to help others, but I just don't know how. And then life events along the way have sort of thrown me off that path. But I keep coming back, and I just knew I had to break the cycles, the patterns of my own life experiences, but also the ancestral family patterns. So it's been a long journey. I'm in my late 40s now, so it's not been an overnight thing. It's been a long journey of discovery and healing myself.
Awesome. So then do you use your experiences and your training to support other women along their journeys? And how does that kind of look for you? How does that work?
Yeah, so definitely because of my own life events and experiences, I would call myself an empathic person, empath. I can really connect easily with others' emotions and energy, more so than the verbal language, in a way. Sort of the energy thing and the emotions is sort of my first language as such. So yeah, I have an empathic understanding of what someone may be going through, has gone through. And for me, I didn't know, what was holding me back. And that that is common, can be common for those others, women who have just been through a tough time really in life, whether that's childhood, adulthood. And it's just helping women coming to that awareness really of what it is, because we can go around like wondering, you know, what is the answer to this question I'm seeking. You know, you've got this seeking in you, this knowing, but you just don't know how to unlock it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know where to begin. And that's where because I've connected all my dots and together and got the pathway, I can help women start to connect their dots and find that pathway of freedom, really. And freedom means different things to many people, but ultimately it's that reconnection back to yourself, and the awareness of there is nothing wrong with you. Because I know for many, many years, I used to think there's actually something wrong with me. This stuff keeps happening. I keep doing all these things because there's actually something wrong with me. For many reasons. One, because that's what I was being told by those around me. And then that's a conditioned belief that we start to believe. But actually, there isn't anything wrong with anyone. It's just we have to pull out of our subconscious what it is that's automatically become a habit for us, and that go-to patterns, and just getting to understand yourself a bit better. And I think once you know that, it really opens up the world for you.
Sure. So how would someone go about like starting on the path then? So if somebody was listening to this now, what would be like your number one recommendation to start along a path? So
everyone's starting point is different. So how I work is very bespoke for everyone, because everyone is coming in from a different way, and starting from a different path. So what I would say is, if you are, you know, feeling absolutely done in by life and worn out, and, you know, it's an effort to get out of bed in the morning, and you're just frustrated with life, and, you know, sometimes I felt like no one actually cared about me, is one, know that you are loved and cared. And if you are feeling that way, you can spend time trying to figure it out yourself, and I did that. Or you can reach out to someone who you feel a connection with. And we all offer different modalities, but ultimately we're trying to achieve the same thing, of, you know, bringing someone back into balance, back into being who they're meant to be, and moving forward in life with, you know, that spring in their step and resilience as well, to deal with what comes, be able to flow around the obstacles. So if you are feeling stuck, lost, don't know, go around in circles and don't know, just take a moment, know that you're cared and loved, and just start taking a look about, whether that be online, asking other people that you trust, you know, who would you recommend, and just connecting with, feeling that connection with someone, because whatever modality you do choose, you have to feel that connection with the person, that external person. You do need external help to get out of your own way, in a way. So yeah, it's finding that person you feel that connection with and you're drawn to.
I think that's some really good advice there, because, you know, it's never a one size fits all, and you can't help all the people all the time. But yeah, it's good. There's got to be definitely that connection there. So what does the process look like then as it evolves then along this pathway? So you've asked the questions, you've got your starting point. How does this look? Can you talk a little bit about some of your experiences with people without going into specifics about like how this would look? Yeah,
sure. So I have many modalities in sort of my holistic toolkit to help others. So I work with energy frequencies, which I know you do use frequency technology. I use a different one. Nature, and also spirit. So when I first connect with someone, it is having a conversation of where they are, what their current reality is, and what it is they fundamentally want to change in their life, and where they think it might be coming from, what has led them to this point. And by using my own expertise, connection and intuition, I will start with what modality is best for them at that time. And then we begin the journey of exploration. And that will be, you know, uncovering and bringing into their awareness what conditioning they may have there, the beliefs they hold about themselves, the unmet needs, the different conflicting mixed emotions that all humans, oh, apologise, my phone just went off. I put that on silent as well, apologies. Yeah, the different emotions that are natural for a human to experience, and, you know, just educate them on emotions. Yes, it could be looking at their relationships in life, and it's about releasing those unconscious blocks by bringing it into their conscious, out into their awareness. And by using the energy frequencies and the energy therapies that I use, we can start to clear that and sort of unclog their energetic pathways internally. So many clients come to me sort of asking that they feel they've just lost the connection to something, and they can't maybe really describe what that is, or they don't know why they keep doing the same things over and over, and they just can't break out of sort of the loop that they're in. And we go on that journey of discovery and bringing stuff to the surface. And it is a gentle process. We go at the pace of the client and what they can cope with, I guess is the word. It's a very safe space. And yeah, people feel lighter, they understand themselves better. You know, that gives them clarity, because it can feel quite confusing when you don't really know what's going on. Like, why is this happening again? You know, as an unfold, like, why has this happened again? I don't really understand what's going on. So it's just building that inner knowing and the clarity. So one client, I unearthed an answer to a question she'd been searching 20 years for, and we got it. And like, it was an amazing, very special moment for her in her life. And to see her now moving forwards, she felt numb. She just felt she couldn't have a relationship. She just felt disconnected from everything, her family, her partner, just life. And now to see her now really grabbing life by the horns and having a clear knowing of, okay, I understand now. I understand all of this stuff that's happened. We've moved it out of the way. We've lessened its grip on her, and she's now able to move forwards. And yeah, she as she said to me, I feel like a changed woman.
That's awesome.
So she's having a better relationship with her children, better relationship with her husband, and just enjoying living again.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Getting people back to doing the things that they enjoy, that they love doing, really. So
yeah.
You work with energy and emotions. So how do our emotions then affect energy?
Well, so without getting too scientific,
you can get as fancy as you like.
Well, okay. So our emotions sort of drive everything. So our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts create our actions, our reactions to life. And underneath that is our emotions driving that response to our internal environment and the external environment. So there's an emotional scale, and all emotion, you can't say there's a bad emotion or a good emotion. We fluctuate between the emotional scales depending on what's happening in our human life. The trouble is, though, is if we are unable to express the emotions that are sort of a lower vibrational down the scale, and those are things like guilt, grief, shame, because we've been taught they're bad. We've been taught, don't cry, and things like that, and don't be stupid, what you're crying for, and the stiff upper lip, just get on with it. The trouble is, when we do that, the emotional energy is stored in our energetic bodies, and that can just turn into a big messy ball in our energy. So we've got our chakras, we've got the meridians, we've got our energy fields, as you know, the electromagnetic fields, and this is all connecting to the higher universal energy. And if we're not dealing with these emotions, they can just sort of hang around. They hang around us and they impact us. And if we still continually don't deal with them and then start to do sort of avoidance tactics of, I don't want to feel those, I'm not going there. So some examples of avoidance, and I'll give my own examples of what I personally did. So you can turn to like substances, so it can be alcohol or drugs, and you can just use them as a way of self-soothing, self-medicating, and that can turn into a big problem. If you use that there, you can become an emotional eater of reaching for that quick fix to make me feel better, because you're not deep inside you with these emotions that have not been dealt with. There's like retail therapy, some people might just buy things that they don't need, don't want, get the quick fix, and they might never wear them, they might never use that thing. Even scrolling on social media is another way to try and get that quick fix of like the good feeling hormones, get that quick fix going. There's smoking, and it just, when we avoid it, it becomes a bigger problem. But if you haven't been taught how to deal with it or how to express it, or you've had a lot of life events, and these don't have to be major events, I'm not talking about big life events, these can be small things. For example, a recent client who is a therapist herself, I surfaced something up that happened 14 years ago that was causing her now to hold a bit of fear of being visible. And she couldn't understand why she couldn't get past sort of expressing about her business and how she can help other people as well. She just had this fear of putting it out there. And so I unearthed something, an event that had happened, and she said, oh, look, I'm so shocked that can still impact me 14 years later. And this is someone who is in the wellbeing industry as well. And that's the thing why I said we do need external help, because we block ourselves sometimes, and it is having that extra pair of eyes to delve in and bring it to the surface. And again, for that like, we haven't finished working together, but I've seen her now. She is like, the ideas are coming, and just releasing that burden off your back helps you. But yeah, and again, if you keep ignoring your feelings and your emotions, it would eventually start to show up in sort of your mood, and that can go on to develop more into, you know, mental health issues like anxiety and maybe depression. And then you'll start getting physical signs. And then if you keep ignoring the physical signs, you could end up with a chronic problem like I did. So it's, it can cause a lot of havoc for your health and well-being if you don't release and have the steps of knowing how to cope with stuff, life events that come your way in the future.
For sure.
I don't know if that makes any sense. I
know you're exactly right that everything affects everything. You know, we are beings of light, and we are body, mind, soul, spirit. Everything is interconnected, certainly, and you can get these energetic scars that keep on circulating, that relate to absolutely every aspect of life. So you obviously work with energies, you work with crystals, you work with like everybody's well-being. So how then would somebody working with you, so we've talked about the process of like the pathway that they go on. So how then do you know where to start with people?
How do I know? I'd say it's having that initial conversation with someone of where their current reality is. And I do have core modalities that I use.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your core modalities then. So what do you use? I understand that you do something called, is it echo healing?
Yes, so there's so I have so there's the quantum holographic echo healing modality. I use the frequency device that I have, and then we have, you know, emotional freedom, and it's that emotional education about life events that they've been through and how that's impacted them. So the quantum holographic echo healing, which is a bit of a tongue twister. It's like, I wish you shortened that name when you thought of it.
I think that's something that's quite new, that not many of our listeners will have heard of before. So quite interested to delve into that.
Okay, so it's the lady who I trained with, who was gifted this modality and has developed it further from the original lady. She's been working on that the last couple of years. So so the quantum. So again, in sort of simple terms, the quantum is that field, that matrix, the cosmic web that we are all connected to. And whatever your beliefs may be on that, it's that universal source, and whatever you want to call that is what you want to call it. And you know, loads more has been coming out over the last few decades with the work of like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Ling Taggart, of how we have this quantum entanglement. You know, like me and you talking now, we now have a quantum connection, a quantum entanglement going on. So we are all connected to everything. We are connected on so many different levels. Our environment right next to us. Then we go in further to our friends and family, our community, our local community. Then it's, you know, your region, your country, and then we're going way up into space, if you want to call it, up into that universal energy, and everything is connected. And we are so deeply connected to Mother Earth and the nature cycles, the planetary cycles, the seasons, our daily rhythms. And that is one of the core things, is getting someone back into the rhythm regulation of the cycles going on around them. So that's the quantum. So the holographic, so our hologram holds everything on an energetic level that's ever happened to us. And our hologram is also holding on to the energetic levels of our ancestors. It's very, again, become more widely accepted and known with the modern science going back to what the ancient traditions have always known. But so our hologram contains everything about us. And looking at your holographic, and that's what we do in this, is, as I've been saying, like diving into your subconscious, your quantum fields, and bringing that up to the surface is where the holographic hologram comes into. And then the echo is the result, sort of the impact on you of that. Awesome. So your echo is your quantum holographic, and how that has formed your current reality.
Amazing.
And then the healing part is obviously shifting this so it doesn't have that grip on you anymore.
Oh, awesome. So it's all interlinked, as we've said previously, and actually everything affects everything. We know that things come down the line generations wise, so it doesn't necessarily need to have been you that's experienced it. And like you say, it's coming more and more to the forefront now how interconnected absolutely everything is.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind then, what would be your best tip for promoting wellness in people?
Oh, that's a hard one, because
there's so much.
I know, I could think of 20 straight off the bat there. What would be my best tip? Incorporate, it's reducing. A good starting point, I feel, is reducing the stress levels in your body.
That's a good one.
I think for me, and I've just gone back a few decades to like, what did you start doing? How did it all begin for you? So, and that's what I started doing, was reducing the stress levels. And that can be doing a guided meditation, going sitting in the garden. And I will say it again, just getting outside into nature is one of the best healing things you'll ever do for yourself. So getting outside, connecting with nature, and taking regular time for yourself. As I said at the beginning, it's helping people not keep coming last and being the strong one. So start incorporating regular time outs for yourself. And again, that does not have to be like a 2-hour thing. You can, even a minute is so beneficial. And also with tapping, with emotional freedom technique, just tapping lowers your cortisol by 24%.
For sure, absolutely. Great advice there. Okay, so something that I ask to everybody who comes on the podcast is, what does mindful wellness mean to you?
That's a good one. You didn't tell me you were going to throw that in.
Nope.
So mindful wellness, I mean, as I just mentioned about, lowering your cortisol, I mean, mindfulness is definitely a part of that. So mindful awareness is just, again, being in the present moment. Just being in the present moment and listening to the signs your body is giving you.
Oh, I like that. So thank you so much for your time today, Sam. If people wanted to find you and get in touch with you after listening to today's podcast, how can they do that?
So you can Google my biz name, which is my full name, which is Ruby Sam Youngz with a Z on the end. And you'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, but a Google search and you'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, online. It will come up.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness podcast. Join us next time for a new episode.